Welcome back to Lunchtime with Ira, live from the Las Vegas Hilton. My next guest is none other than Mary Wilson. She's a founding member of the Supremes, and she'll be appearing at the Edgewater in Laughlin, Nevada, February 9th, 10th, and 11th. And Mary Wilson, welcome to Lunchtime with Ira. Hi. You had one of those days, right?
It's been very, very,
Crazy.
busy.
But that's right. It's a pleasure having you.
Yeah, thank you.
So in my research, which we do extensive research. In fact,
oh my God,
but it's easy stuff. No, but because you are, I mentioned in the opening that, go ahead, that you're one of the founding members of the Supremes, and you were there the whole
yes.
time.
Started in 1959 with Florence Ballard, Dinah Ross, in case just someone's from the moon and they didn't know that, or they're young.
Yeah, either way, either from the moon, or they're young, or they're young and on the moon.
Yes,
That
right.
yeah.
This could be true.
So, but before the Supremes, it was the Primettes, right?
We started as the Primettes in 1959, and we were 12 and a half and 13 years old. That's it.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, so I've been there in the beginning, and then when we disbanded in the 70s, I was the last person there. So from beginning to end.
No, it's great history. One of I don't know if people really think about this too often, because they always think Supremes and specifically Motown sound. But one of my favorite Supremes records and CDs that was the Rodgers and Hart song.
Oh, it's lovely. Yes.
And
yes.
that one I particularly like.
Oh, that's wonderful. There's another one that I've been listening to recently called "There's a Place for Us," and what I liked about those particular CDs, albums, was that you could really hear all three voices very, very well, because we did a lot of the standard material and we did a lot of harmonies that were really quite nice. So those are two of my favorites. Yes.
And now that you're, rumor has it, and I've confirmed it through my various sources, that you're now a resident of Las Vegas.
Oh gosh, I've been here for years.
Well, that's why the rumors just finally got to me. I'm a little slow at this.
Yes, let me see, I moved here in the late 80s, and my daughter graduated from high school here. I have 3 grandchildren that I live with here.
That's the amazing part, that your grandmother, as well as obviously a parent of
well, I actually
children.
have 8 grandchildren, but I only live with 3. But you know what? We started singing. We, the Supremes, started singing here back in the 60s. The first hotel we worked in was the Flamingo Hotel in 1967. And it was so great because we were following Pearl Bailey. Mm-hmm. And it was our first trip here in Vegas, and we were so excited. And we got into town, we realized that Pearl was closing that night because we were opening the next night. And so we said, oh God, we gotta go. So we run downstairs and we see her show, and she was fabulous. And we went backstage, knocked on the door and said, and they said, well, who is it? We said, the Supremes. She says, well, don't you girls know to wait and give me time to dry off? And so that was our first.
Well, you were young.
We were so young.
Yeah,
we were so
exactly.
young. We were so excited. And I've always remembered that. So whenever anyone comes to my door, I'm very nice to them.
Yes.
Maybe under your breath you say, God, can they give me a few more minutes?
Isn't it amazing, though, that as I was talking with our first guest, Fluff, who has been involved with the Jubilee for 25 years, and you've been involved in a singing career that lasts decades.
It's been 40-some years.
Yes, so it's
almost
quite
50 actually.
It's an amazing feat to be in that business that long, and not go off the deep end. I know you wrote an autobiography. There's a lot of stuff that you've done. And,
yes. I've written 2 books actually. One was a bestseller in the 1980s. It was called Dreamgirl: My Life as a Supreme, and that was really a great book. But my second book, very few people know about that one. That was Supreme Faith, and it's really what happens to a star after the fact, almost like what happens to Cinderella after,
No, understood.
Yeah,
you mentioned about the Dreamgirl autobiography, and I remember reading about that. And now that the Dreamgirls movie is out, have you seen it? Do you like it?
Oh, sure. Ira, the most fantastic thing was that I saw it in an empty theater. I previewed it for USA Today. I did a review on it, and so Paramount gave me the theater, and I watched it all by myself and my publicist. And I was sitting up there crying, boo-hooing like crazy in this empty theater, and I was saying to myself, thank God there's no one else around me, because it was really, really, it is a wonderful movie. And even though they say it's not about the Supremes,
right.
It's loosely based on the Supremes, I think the more they try tried to make it not like us, the more it was like us. And what's great is that Jennifer Hudson, the Effie White character, dedicated her Golden Globe in the memory of Florence Ballard. And so this movie is not so much really about the Supremes as much as it is about Florence Ballard. And that makes me feel very, very happy, because she was the one in the Supremes who didn't get as much recognition, but she was actually the founding member, as you said in your opening, she was the founding member, and she had this magnificent talent and voice, very much like Jennifer Hudson, Jennifer Holliday, the original member who was on Broadway. Florence's talent was just like that, and very few people know it. So I really love the music of the movie because of that. But, you know, I'm not getting paid to advertise it.
Right, and it's not necessarily, you can't say it's inaccurate because it's not supposed to be exactly.
Right, it's loosely based, and
a
I've spoken to
biography,
many
sure.
of my friends, obviously, who are showbiz people, you know, the Pointer Sisters and this and that and that, and they all have said the same thing, that, you know, it's a lot of it is just like their life. So that's really great.
Good. So how does it work? You're based here in Las Vegas, you live here in Las Vegas, and then you go out and perform in different
Yes.
venues in different markets.
Every weekend, I'm out Thursday through Sunday usually, and it's great, you know. But I would love to work here in Vegas, to stay home after being on the road for 40 some years.
You may be the original road warrior.
Yeah, I'm one of the hardest working women in show business. People don't know about it, but there are lots of other things that I'm doing, Ira, and I don't know if you want to hear about it.
I know that you're involved in a lot of charitable work, for
Yes,
example.
I do a lot of charity work, but also there's a legislation that I'm involved with, myself and some other artists from the 50s and 60s, and it's called the Truth and Music Legislation. Now this legislation is about phony groups. That means groups who go out pretending that they are the real group.
Right.
And
I know, for example, just so you know, and I want to hear about this, but just last month I went out as Mary Wilson, and then your lawyers hit me with a lawsuit. I mean, so
Did
obviously
they?
you don't really need the legislation, yes.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I think
Ira.
it was my
Well,
lack
what
of
color
singing.
was your gown?
Well, it was my lack of singing, I think, that found me out. I couldn't pull it off, so.
Well, these people pull it off quite well, because, you know, they really sound good, they look good, they do a great show. I mean, all of these people. But the point is that they did not record the music. And this bill protects the people who recorded that music, and so that other people cannot just pick up their names and form a group and say, I am a Supreme. There are at least 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 groups of Supremes around the world. So
Amazing.
this legislation is quite good, and we actually have just submitted it. Senator Joe Heck and Senator Horsford have just submitted it to the Nevada